That's it. I'm myself. Hi, everybody. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. Over half of you watching this now aren't subscribers. If you could, it'd be lovely. Lovely. And we just hit literally today 14,000 subscribers. That's fantastic. So very, very good. And thank you. Appreciate one and all. Now it's ex-Hammer night. We're very fortunate on the channel to, I think David will be almost our 100th guest. If not, we've already hit 100. I've lost count. But we have lots of ex-Hammers over the time talking about their time at West Ham. Getting their views of the current West Ham plight as well, and as always, the opportunity for you to ask questions to David. Let me put it in the chat. If you could put any question with a Q, it's easier for me to find. So let's bring him in. Let's bring in David. There he is. Yes, how are you doing, David? How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Good evening, everyone. Russ and everyone else.
How are you? How's the Connolly household? How's everyone? All well?
Yeah, good. It works a bit slow, but apart from that, things are, just ticking along,
Yeah, I know. I think it's not just in football. I think it's in general works. Everything's a bit slow at the moment.
Yeah. I should have retrained as a electrician or a plumber because they are. I can't find them. I can't get one for more money.
No.
But anyway, they're always fully booked and charge a fortune. So I should have retrained. It's never too late. You
never too late.
No.
Or a drain cleaner. I see them loads of them on YouTube. They just clean drains and put videos up on YouTube. It's crazy. But yeah, I know it's. Sometimes I think that I miss my calling in life, but I'm not very good at DIY or anything like that, David.
Terrible.
I'm one of those people who my wife will sit there and look at, I don't know, a crack in the wall or a wall that needs to be repainted. I'll get a man in, and I'm sitting right next to her.
I'm just looking at my wall behind, and that needs a paint, and I need to put some shirts or something up just to hide it. So I've got a poster on the floor, but I can't even hang it because I don't know how to use a drill.
These aren't hung. These are command strip things.
Oh yes,
they're brilliant. Yeah. Honestly, I look like I know what I'm talking about. I've got a spirit level and everything from them. So, but then if my wife wants my, I don't know, the Wi-Fi's gone down, I'm the first person, or the Disney Plus. I'll get a call at work. What's the Disney Plus password? I'm thinking, why are you watching Disney Plus when you're working? Anyway,
Disney. I thought you were just in Disney. I mean, geez, you're a Disney fan, are you?
I'm sponsored. Did I mention I was in Disney? Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
although exactly. I noticed that Carlton Cole was in Orlando this week as well. So he sort of we must have crossed in the Atlantic somewhere. But no, it was very good, lovely. And first time I've ever been outside Essex for Christmas in my life.
Right.
I mean, it's a very bizarre thing. I mean, as a footballer, Christmas is always a slightly strange. What was it like when you retired? When you had your first Christmas, proper Christmas?
Horrible. being around the family is not a good thing when you're used to being often not around them.
Yes.
I think it can be one of the worst things if you're not busy or not at football. So whenever I can, I go to a game, and even Christmas or whatever. You have all these ideas when you retire. You think, I'm going to go on this holiday. I haven't done any of that. I've been retired about 10 years. You just think, I don't know. The football's always there in the background to go to that you can't quite go away for. I've never been on like a 2-week holiday really because I think of all the football I'd miss, so I just haven't done it. So it's a bit twisted. I need to get a life, basically, get a holiday.
Yeah, I know. I can understand totally. But I mean, obviously, we were just talking beforehand. West Ham. Obviously, you've watched a lot of West Ham this season. You work for TalkSport and stuff, so a lot of games and things in general. It's been a frustrating. First half of the season, I think, for West Ham fans, and we spoke about the Everton game. Could it be an upturn? Who knows? We don't know, do we? Really?
It's difficult. Look, I was at the Brentford game, and to be honest, I thought they started really, really well.
Yeah.
And Brentford just got route one, long throw, and played percentages, got a goal. And then it was difficult. And obviously the second goal was not a great one to concede. We know that. But whenever I've seen West Ham, they've never quite been as bad as I think a lot of people. Like at Forest, I thought they played really well. I don't know how they didn't score against Forest.
Yeah.
And then they score a little lucky goal, and Declan misses a penalty. So it just seems that's how it's gone this first half. Maybe if everyone's back fit, if he gets more goals in the team, somehow by getting maybe when Danny Ings is fit, or still sticking Mikel Antonio in the team but wide. Just more goals in the team. More goals in it. I mean, I've gone for goals in my team that I've put down. I've got 2 defenders. I think it's all out attack. So.
I love it. Do you know what? It's the West Ham way, isn't it? It's the West Ham way. It's what they all say. But I know what you mean. I mean, defensively, I think the team so far I think we've got about the joint 4th or joint 5th, like meanest defence. But as you said, it's in the other side. It's the other end, and you get Danny Ings. He plays 20 minutes. Now he's out for a month, and it's like it's just the way. It's just luck does follow West Ham, it seems, and bad luck quite particularly.
Although look, I mean, it can hopefully it can turn around. They go tough games coming up. The games coming up are tough run of games. But we'll wait and see. I saw them at Brentford as well, and look, they didn't play very well in that game, but they won, but then they didn't back it up at Wolves. So, like I say, when I've seen them, they've either been unlucky or played pretty well or won. I haven't actually seen them play really, really poorly. So.
Yeah, and I think everyone sees.
So I can only say what I see, right?
No, totally.
That's what I do. I don't fill in the gaps because I don't see them week in, week out like fans do. So you just call what you see. I think that's the best way.
Yeah, totally. No, I think you're right. I think once you have this sort of preconception of how we're playing, it's like, same. You're automatically blinking and think, that's it. We're playing boys ball again, and actually. We've been quite successful the last 2.5 years doing exactly the same thing, but it just hasn't clicked for some reason this year. I don't know why not, but it can't be helped. Just need a few more goals. Need you, Dave. Get your boots.
I don't know about that. I had to look back on the season, and there wasn't enough goals. I think that's a big problem.
Well, it was. I think you do yourself a disservice. I think it was a. We talk about turbulent times. I think if we go back to when you signed. It was a turbulent time. We'd just been relegated, and everything that happened with Glenn, and obviously Trevor took over towards the end of that particular season before, and then Glenn came back, and then you signed. How did that happen? What was the mechanism?
I mean, coming into West Ham, I think the previous season I'd got 24 league goals in 28 league games, which was the most in the whole country goals per game. And I worked really hard at my game, in and around the box. And I thought, wow, I go to West Ham, look at those players. I mean, if I get in there, geez, I mean, the players they had, it was a sort of, you don't think twice. And to be honest, I didn't really think too much about the money. I might have even taken a pay cut to come to West Ham at that time. That's not being virtuous or anything. It's just reality because I was quite well paid at Wimbledon. But for West Ham, I think they're a little bit unsure about, was I going to be right for them? Yeah. But I just wanted to come, to be honest. I looked at the club and the players, and I felt I want to play with those players. I want to play with those players. It was a sort of thing that I wanted, and I thought that I would, do pretty well. But sort of after a decent start, I don't know. They just seemed to dry up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said, it was at the beginning. I think it was 14 goals that season. Christ, we could do somebody score 14 goals now, David. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what league we're in. But as I said, you said, it started off really well. I mean, for anyone who's probably, you maybe can't remember, to be honest, there'll be a lot of young viewers watching as well. So obviously, it was the Preston North End. He came off the bench, scored the winner in essence. And then he scored 2 goals in your next game. Was it Rushden Diamonds? God, do you remember them? Rushden Diamonds, jeez.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
The goals are coming, man.
Well, I mean, the first game obviously was I shouldn't have done I think the sentiment was right in
Yeah.
terms of I was a bit peeved at what went on because we all kind of know that.
Yeah.
Like when I signed for West Ham, I didn't think West Ham was a club that would pick a player up at a service station,
No.
and then would
Yeah.
play a couple of hours later. And that's nothing against Neil Mellor or anyone like, because I think Neil's a great guy and I often see him. And he is, but it was just no. Hang on a minute, this isn't right. This shouldn't be done. And it wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed. So I think that whole Preston game, very unlike me, right? Because I try to be a really good pro, look after myself, and always do the right thing. I didn't warm up once in that game. I just sat on the bench. I've never been so disappointed in because I was hitting the ground running. I was ready to go, and I thought this is my time. This is the club. I'm going to fly here, and for that to happen completely out of the blue, I was absolutely devastated. Totally. So I was sat on that bench thinking, I'm quite, black and white and being fair. I thought that was so unfair. And I didn't warm up. And it was a hot day. I didn't need to warm up. But as soon as I got the chance to go on, I think Matty Etherington slipped me in. And the actual goal I was really pleased with the goal because there was a really subtle bit of sort of deception that I was going to go down the line, which was really subtle. And it sent the defender one way and then I cut in and then the keeper went the opposite way. So it was from my perspective, as a goal scorer, it was a well-crafted goal, and for it to be the winner, what was great. Jermaine got the other one, and I thought, wow, I'm up front with Jermaine Defoe. I mean, geez, this is just going to fly. Sort of a few goals after that, but then it sort of dried up. But that particular day was a great day. But the sentiment was right afterwards. But I was so angry after.
To be honest, Dave, I think I know you you sort of beat yourself a little bit, but actually it was like to be fair, I think everyone else was justified. I saw it just you were justified. We'd spent 250 grand or whatever on you, or 285, I think it was from Wimbledon. You said you come with a pedigree, and then to pick up Neil from the service station, and then play him, and then we've had Neil on. He's a lovely guy, as you said, but it's nothing against Neil, but I think it was justified, and actually, and then Glenn comes out, God rest his soul, and calls you an angry ant, whatever it was. It was like, it was just like, I think.
Well, because in some ways, right, I had to do, different players have different attributes to get where they are. If I didn't have a little bit of aggression, there's no way I've even been a pro because there's so many players that fall by the wayside. So I had to have a little bit of that within my game, and I think that was, what Glenn was talking about there, and I thought Glenn actually played it down really, really well because it really. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have spoke to the press after. But when you're called to go to the press, I should have just kept my mouth shut and just leave it. In the end, I thought Glenn really good management didn't make it any worse for me. But when we went back to the training ground, me and him had he did call me in the office and he gave me what for, which was right. And looking back on it, but I still stuck to my guns. Well, you shouldn't have put me in that position because it wasn't fair on me. And Neil knows that, and even Neil's,
Neil says, he actually says the same.
He says the same thing because one thing you can't control as a player, right, is if managers have certain deals with other managers. If you give me a player, I'll play him. Yeah. Well, that's a terrible start to what will go on in the dressing room if players are promised to play. Yeah. And successful dressing rooms aren't run by that, where players are promised to play. So, but anyway, look, we live and learn. That was a sort of brought a bit more attention than it needed to be honest. That was my fault.
Yeah, and also, the fact is we've been relegated as well, so it was like there was probably a bit more attention on us being.
And it was the main game.
Side. Yeah, it was the main game. I remember it. I remember sitting in the pub and Preston went up, and I was like, "What is going on? This is
There was no Premier League game that weekend.
No,
so
there wasn't.
It was like the main game. So we got a good result, but ultimately. Not a great start. So to speak.
And obviously at the moment, we obviously the things we've happened with obviously Moisey at the moment, and obviously Frank Lampard losing the Everton job, and various other managers. And something people always say is the managers lost the dressing room. Have you ever been in a situation where that's happened? Because I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so little things you can, you can. You're not going to lose the dressing room over this, but I remember once at West Ham, Alan Pardew got the bus driver to give the team talk, and I remember
Yeah.
thinking, what is going on here? I mean, what? Now you're not going to lose a dressing room over that. And
No.
Alan would try anything and
Yeah.
everything, and Alan was in his infancy as a manager and still learning and you try different things, but you wouldn't lose a dressing room over that. But you'd have some players like myself go, blimey, I mean, I don't want to listen to the bus driver, I want to listen to the manager, and then we can get out and go and get playing. So yeah, you can absolutely lose players by bringing, some managers think they bring a player into the office and tell them something, and it stays with the player. Well, they come straight out, or the lads go, right, what the manager say? He spills the beans, and before you know it, everyone's going, well, he just told him that, and he's told me this, and so that happened quite a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, that you're there for a season, but it was a hell of a lot. I mean, you play another 3 managers, really. Obviously, Glenn, and then obviously Glenn got ill again, and then Trevor took over, and then well, no, sorry, Glenn got sacked, then Trevor, and then Pards again. What's it like when a new manager comes in? Because obviously Glenn bought you, and then he's gone, and then sort of Trevor's sort of in the middle, but then Pards comes in. Is it like, oh shit, I've got to start all over again, or is it like,
a little bit? Although they all have different sort of strengths. Like Trevor was very unassuming, despite who he was, and allowed the players to just go and play, and it was very uncomplicated. I think Alan came in, and Alan was desperate to be an elite manager, and he went on to be an elite manager in the Premier League. But he was at the early days of his career, and I think he was learning what works, what doesn't work. Willing to have open eyes to try everything, but also sort of tactically a bit more complex than what we'd been used to. And also, I sort of played a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Didn't particularly like that because I was further away from the box. But Alan, like, it would fill you with lots of praise and confidence. But ultimately, it was a difficult season, I think, because there was a lot of players, a lot of personalities, a lot of players that had, been big players, had achieved. And I think Alan hadn't quite dealt with players like that yet. And he had to manage those players who might not be in the team or whatever. But I think Alan proved himself to be a really good manager, but that was just in the very early stages. And ironically, before Alan went to West Ham, he wanted me to go to Reading. And I spoke to him on the phone, but I didn't go. And ironically, then he took over at West Ham. Do you believe it? But Alan, played me an awful lot. I got no complaints whatsoever in regard to that. But he was very much at the start of his career, so he would try different things. Like in the playoff final, I don't remember, but we wore white warming up, and it was because it made us look bigger. And he tried all these, and he read lots of books about how they do things in America and basketball and baseball and American football and all this. And you could tell he was just trying to find his formula of what worked. He even had this sort of scoreboard he would bring in sometimes of for a cross in the box, you get 10 points. For a shot, you get 10 points. And I swear to God, you go in the game, I was going down the line, I think, if I get this cross in the box, I'll get 10 points here. And then come the Monday, the notice board would go up with the points leaders, and who's at the top? Michael Carrick, because he takes every free kick, he takes every corner, he takes it, so it's like, it's a waste of time, But I think from Alan's point of view, he's trying to get end product and try and get players to focus on that product. But by virtue of who took a lot of the stuff, it ended up. But I think there are the things you try when you're working your way as a young fledgling manager, which I think he was, and he went on to obviously then distill down, keep some stuff, get rid of some stuff, right? And I played for him again at Southampton. And by then he'd been a manager for 6 years or 6 seasons, whereas I think when he came to West Ham, one or
Not,
two,
yeah,
maybe.
not long at Reading. Yeah, not long.
Yeah,
At Reading.
so you can see how he evolved over time, and he was I thought he was a really good fit for West Ham at the time, and I got no complaints with any of the managers. I thought Trevor was lovely because he was so unassuming and kept it simple, and I think some players enjoy that. Yeah.
I remember out of all, because this is my 22nd or 23rd season working at the club, and the only manager who has brought me in and asked me what song I'm playing is Alan Pardew.
Right.
We used to go every game, and that little crappy manager, that little small little cubby, his office, that stupid at Upton Park, and he'd go, "What are we playing today, Russ?" And I say, and he'd always say, "Oh, can we play a bit of Sinatra?" It's like, no.
Yeah. I mean, he was good for me. Like, he signed me at West Ham, and at Southampton, I had so many injuries and stuff, and he signed me. I don't think he said he'd never signed someone without seeing it, because I hadn't played.
Yeah.
And he was basically taking a chance on me at 35 years of age or whatever I was. But he did, and it went well at Southampton eventually. Got promoted a couple of times, etc. But he was good, but he was just starting out then. And I'm sure looking back, he might do things differently. He made the right call at the end of the season. Final.
Yeah.
I was told, me, Bobby Marlon or whatever, who, someone's got to go, whoever comes in, what money comes in, and he made the right call because Bobby and Marlon ended up doing really well. Teddy came in and did really well, and obviously they got promoted. So.
And then obviously we'll talk about it now. Obviously, we got to for anyone who's doesn't remember. Obviously, we got to the playoff semi-finals, and then obviously the great Ipswich games, which people still talk about as the most atmospheric game they ever went to at Upton Park, probably before the last ever game at Upton Park. And obviously we got through them, and then obviously Crystal Palace, and I think I still have, was it PTSD? I still have that a little bit, because I can close my eyes and still see a sea of yellow shirts bobbing to Glad all over, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, it was I don't know, we obviously we sort of stumbled quite a lot, really, and we drew. So I look back, we drew so many games that season. In fact, I think we ended up with more points than the season after. But we just drew so many games, and we scored more goals than the season after. But we still didn't score enough goals. It was a really odd mishmash of a season. But the Ipswich game obviously was. I mean, I remember sometimes, because I lived on the other side of London, I would drive and stay at the bowling at Upton Park, because they used to have a bedrooms there,
Yeah.
And I think I stayed once, and they'd practice on the tannoy, and you couldn't sleep a wink even if you tried.
And it had that sort of, and it looked like it, because obviously they had the lights, and so it was like this yellow like glow under the, and they were really thin curtains, and
exactly. I mean, it was like I might as well have slept out on the pitch. It was a disaster. But obviously I really enjoyed the ground, you're close to the fans and all that sort of stuff. But the Ipswich game obviously was good to turn that around from the first leg. I probably should have scored in that second leg. I had a decent chance. And then the final, there was not a lot in it. It was a horrible, scrappy final. There wasn't a lot in that game. My former strike partner, Neil Shipley, with the follow-up, with the rebound. I remember in the game, I think I might have put the ball in the back of net, but I was offside. There wasn't a lot. It wasn't a great game. And it may be, if it had gone 0-0 into 90, you just don't know what might happen. But I think that season, points-wise, we fell short of your West Broms. And obviously, we had a lot of turnaround in January, but I think he sort of formula at the top part of the pitch and drew a lot of games 1-1 or 0-0. Didn't get enough goals, and I had a barren period. And I mean, we had a couple of decent cup games.
Yeah.
Which were good.
Yeah.
We had a couple of, the Wigan one, which was a good performance. I got a decent goal in that. The Wolves one was a good performance.
Yeah.
I think we lost to Spurs in the end, but yeah, ultimately there was a few memorable games, but ultimately the playoff final was really anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was.
It was a shame because like we tried. I think we tried everything. He made 3 changes, didn't he? Triple change.
Yeah,
Brought the front 3 off, new front 3 on, and you sort of felt at the end of it, yeah, this is going to be. This is difficult. It is hard to go straight back up. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
It is difficult. But the players that we had there, blimey, that was a decent enough team to be that should have gone a lot closer to maybe the points total that we were off West Brom. But maybe Palace. I don't know the run they were on.
It's that last one. Yeah, I mean, we did it obviously the year after. Similar thing, we were sort of like we were. It's always with playoffs. It's always the team that creeps in. Bit of form at the end, and we went on. I think the year after we went on a cracking run towards the end, and actually similarly we went up in 2012-13 as well. Same thing. We went, cracking like 4 or 5 games at the end, and it just takes you over the edge. One of those things, wasn't it? It's just like it was new to us because we'd never been in a playoff final really. And for a whole generation, they'd never been to. Well, they've never been to Wembley. It was in bloody Cardiff, but you know what I mean. So it was like a really strange thing. Although I loved it. I loved going to Cardiff. I thought it was a brilliant place to have those finals. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember the game was just hard to get into. I can't remember any real clear cut chances that many for both teams, and it just took that one sort of rebound from Neil Shipley to tap in, and that was it. It was a scrappy game, disappointing end to the season. I know it was afterwards, like I remember Brian Dean saying a few words, and we had some big personalities in that team.
Massive personalities,
good characters, and but we just fell short. Like we fell short.
Yeah, but you'll always go down in folklore history, Neil, because Neil, because same people Neil bloody Shipley. That's what I keep saying. Sorry, David. That's what I keep saying. Look,
I've been called worse. Don't worry.
Neil bloody Shipley. Indeed. Obviously, you'll go down in folklore because you scored against Millwall.
Yeah.
What's it like to play in a West Ham versus Millwall game? Only a few people have done it.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't leave for a few hours after. I know that it was all kicking off outside, but that was from my point of view. I think Tim Cahill scored the equaliser for them, which was a bit disappointing. But the goal I think was a good one from my perspective. Like cutting inside, and it was a good left foot finish because I kind of worked on my finishing with both feet, and I was pleased with it as a left foot finish. And the atmosphere obviously was cracking. It was one of those games that you think about. There's some games in my career I think about, there were incredible atmospheres to sort of play in, and that is certainly one of them. And scoring it was great. Really disappointing that we couldn't get the win, but that just kind of was typified our season.
Summed up the season, yeah.
Really, because you were still up against good teams, and they kept the scoring goals. Maybe we didn't get the second goal, but from a personal perspective, the goal was the goal was a nice one and a pleasing one, and it was a great atmosphere, like I said. But we couldn't leave, I think, for about 2 hours after.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Yeah,
it was all, kicking off after.
Well, the good thing about because the box where I was working at Upton Park, it was next to police control room, just under the scoreboard, and so I know you were exactly where it was kicking off. So me, the coward, like went all the way around the back just to miss all the trouble.
Well, that season as well, they filmed Green Street.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
they filmed Green Street as well. So that was
so
ironic.
funny. Right, let's get some questions because there's loads. Right, Dennis is a massive fan of yours. An instant hero. He's the one who commented on the Twitter thing the other day. Got my name in the back of the shirt. So gutted you left. Thought my last name was Connolly on our holidays as a result. Just remembered you like that tweet, so hardly a bombshell. No, exactly. Finally, if memory serves me correctly, you were runner-up in our most underrated attacker for West Ham between 2000 and 2020 on their YouTube channels. There we go. Well, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, look, as I said, I think going into West Ham, I don't think I've ever felt as sharp in and around the penalty box as I was after leaving West Ham. And I started really well. I don't know. I wouldn't blame anyone in particular, but it just, the goals dried up for whatever reason. And normally I always look at myself like, what was I doing differently? Did I need to do something else? And maybe, maybe I could have hung on at West Ham that season. But I think once you know that the manager
Isn't gonna,
then I think you just go. But what was funny is then the following season, the fixtures come out. First game of the season, I'm at Leicester. Who do we play? West Ham. And it was, because when I drive, say, to training, I'd like from the opposite side of London, I'd often encounter a lot of West Ham fans, like driving to work, or I'd have to go around the North Circular. Terrible drive, but around the North Circular, and loads of West Ham fans, and you'd have good laugh with them, a good crack with them. But I remember the Leicester was hilarious because it was the first. Well, it wasn't hilarious, but first game of the season we draw. And we're playing. So I get a chance, and I thought, well, the Leicester fans are singing, we've got Dave Connolly, whatever, and I think I get a chance, and I blaze it. I blaze it wide or whatever, and the West Ham fans start singing, "You've got Dave Connolly." It was really, it was really good because they had something else had with Marlon Harewood, and they had a chant for that. I mean, I enjoy playing for the club because I would often encounter a lot of fans, and
you do.
They're good. They're all over the place, whether the other side of London, in random places. So, and I always found they had really good humour. So it was.
They're all over the place. When I was in Disney, some bloke shouts out across the pool, "It's Russ!" And he's doing table tennis. "Hello, mate." It's like. My wife's like, "Who's he?" I have no idea. Lovely guy, but I had no idea. Christian, hope you're well if you're watching. They're all over the place. It's funny. We always travel in colours. What we got here? Dave from Budgie. David, in your entire career, who was the goalkeeper you didn't fancy on a one-on-one?
That's interesting. I mean, I played with a few goalkeepers, but obviously in training you come up against some Shay Gibbon was very, very good. He's, I think, one of the best I've come up. Craig Gordon, I thought was an outstanding goalkeeper, shot stopper, really good in one-on-ones. I'm trying to think opposition keeper because I played with another Jerzy Dudek in Holland who was really good. But as a one-on-one, I'm just trying to think. I'd probably say obviously maybe some of those that I played with because I played with and against that were maybe Shay and Craig Gordon or Jerzy Dudek, maybe some of those three really good keepers.
Good question, Budge. From Skipper, I imagine how was it playing over in Holland? Obviously, that
was a real eye opener. I mean, I looked the other day because you mentioned about atmospheres and the Millwall one.
Yeah.
The big game over there is against Ajax.
Yeah.
I scored in that. It's called the Classic or whatever. I scored in that game. I scored 2 in that game, and final beat Ajax for the first time in 26 years. Right. So, I mean, I was carried off on like a gladiator on someone's shoulders. Stuff you don't even dream about. I mean, it was just incredible. And then I played in the Champions League, albeit fleetingly. The standard was incredible. The professionalism was unlike nothing I'd ever seen before, but this was in 1997. But, Henrik Larsson, the players there were just a joke because there was players there that they didn't want. Like Henrik Larsson was there. I was warming up with Henrik Larsson. He was with the Rezzies, and then the next minute he sold to Celtic, and the rest is history. I mean, passing drills every day, which I'd never really come across.
Yeah.
The amount of volume of work on your touch, on your technique. They didn't mind. I'd never played on my own up front. Never. Over there, you play on your own as a single number 9. Played with some amazing, brilliant players. So it was it was excellent. I was probably well below the technical level of the team when I went there. Although I scored in my debut and I'd scored against Ajax, but I was below the level really. I think at 19. And I didn't have the technical level that that was really required at that age to be a regular number 9. I think by the time I did, my last few games for them, I got I don't know, whatever, 1 in 2, 1 in 3, whatever it was, enough that they offered me a new contract. But I did come back to England, and then the next season they won the UEFA Cup. They were a really good team. This was not a fluke or anything. They were a good team, and the level for me then was a big learning curve, and also the lads were not they didn't go out and drink 10 pints every night.
No, I can imagine.
But they were there was good lads, just good players, good lads, and a really good, great country to live in, fabulous people, and I wouldn't have a hesitation in anyone going, sort of either living there or going to play over there or coach over there. It's a great place.
Well, you were sort of a pioneer, really, because now it's all people seem to go to, whether it's Germany or they go to Belgium. Young players who aren't necessarily having a fair crack, and then they sort of come back. I mean, you had what's his face, Nolly, the winger from PSV. He's, he obviously was at Spurs. He went to PSV. Now he's back at Chelsea, and obviously look, in terms of Germany, Jude Bellingham and people like that. And
I mean, it's a quick way to go and get European football,
and get games,
a player, coach, get games. Get a body of work behind you if you're good enough. To then go and then wherever you may be. Spain, England, wherever. From my own perspective, it was a steep learning curve, but I did really enjoy it over there. And to be honest, I probably would have stayed over there.
Yeah,
like I said, they offered me a new contract, but Jason Newell had just left Wimbledon and gone to Charlton, and they needed a centre forward, and I was basically signing. I was signing over there. And then a friend of mine, teammate Kenny Cunningham, called me and said, "Well, we need a striker like Jason Newell's going to Charlton, and would you come here?" I said, "Well, I've already agreed to sign." And they said, "Well, I'll get Terry Burton to call." Terry called me.
Yeah.
And before you know it, I thought, well, you know what, maybe I'll come back. But a great place. Probably, I wasn't quite ready to go and play in a team like that at that time.
Makes sense. Another question from Dennis. Which defender did you hate coming up against, and why is it Thomas Repka?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the players like Thomas.
Yeah.
I never had ever a problem with aggressive players. Never. I loved training with Steve Lomas. You name them.
Yeah.
I didn't care if they kicked me. I didn't care if Thomas kicked me because I would kick him back. And I think all's fair in kind of love and war.
Yeah.
And I would much rather have someone who's honest and kicks you and rather than gives you a whack from behind. Yeah. So Thomas was class, and obviously he's a bit of a had a reputation. Thomas. I don't think I put him in my team, not for any reason other than the way I'm going to play. But I had great respect for.
He still scares me. He still scares me. Even now.
I mean, I think if he's not in my team, he won't know, because I think I don't know where he is, but I don't think he's over it, is he? So he can't hunt me down.
He's not over it. Yeah,
no.
It's when we're on the Instagram and he messages me. As I said, I've said it loads of times. Even when he gives a crossed hammers emoji, it's almost like he's being aggressive with it. It's like it's like he still scares me when he's thinking sort of in broken English and everything. But yeah, as I said, he's one of many big personalities that you played with at West Ham.
The personalities are like. I mean, even at other clubs, sometimes you can clash with if you're a forward and you're always up against the same defenders. You do have a bit of a common respect, so believe it or not, you don't really ever come to blows or anything like that. Really, very rarely,
Yeah.
Although I know John Hartson and but you're kind of like, for some reason it doesn't happen as often maybe as you'd think.
You think it would,
yeah. And I think you might have a few words or whatever, but yeah, Thomas was was pretty tough. Stevie Lomas was was pretty tough. You'd have lads who'd be aggressive and kick you, but that I think when you sort of stuck up for yourself and made sure that you could hold your own, it was fine.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're one of their own, so it's not. Yeah, there's always a
because you can be bullied. Like if Thomas Boot was doing it, or Stevie, you would be absolutely but booted next time twice as hard or whatever. You're thinking, so you have got to have a little bit about it, especially if you're forward, because you get kicked from pillar to post. Like,
yeah. No, I can get that totally. Right, let's do your Hammers 11 because I'm interested because you said attacking and progressive. So here we go. So as I said, everyone we have on the channel, regardless of how many games or whatever, so they put together their 11. It's a bit of fun. But it's who you pick, and it's people you played and trained with during that season. So as you said, there was a lot of players, and it was a small season. As you said, there was a big churn of players. Around January time, it's always like the old guard. A few of the old guard were leaving, and the Knights and Nines.
Yeah.
So there was like a real sort of strange. And as you said, then after you left, there was another thing with Teddy and that lot coming in as well. So it's a real sort of hodgepodge of experiences and styles and stuff. So very interesting. So who's between the sticks? Well,
I'm loath to put David James between the sticks. I'll tell you why. Because, I remember we played Ipswich away, right? And I scored in that game, and Jermaine scored a great goal, and we won. And buzzing afterwards, my parents who were alive then said to manager, I'm going to go home with my parents. Yeah, no problem. Bearing in mind, that's a good 2.5 hours drive or whatever it is. And I probably would say 2 words to David during the week, maybe a few more, not a lot more, And then David pipes up and says, "Oh, you're going straight back? You're not going on the bus?" I said, "No, I'm going with my parents. Can I come?" And I was like, 2.5 hours in the car, my parents. I should have just said no, right? But I said, okay. So he flipping jumps in right. So I'm sitting in the front because I talked to my dad about the game. Yeah. There's my little old mum in the back beside David James, who can barely fit in this car. His head is nearly sticking out the roof. And it was an awkward couple of hours because, him and my mum were chatting. And anyway, so I'm loath to put him in because basically I don't think he ever spoke to me after that. And I think he just used me. So I'm loath to put him in. But, what do I do? Because Stephen Bytewell, I love Stephen.
Stephen.
But, obviously fumbled in the playoff final. He won't mind me saying that. And other than that, there's only a couple of others. And the only other one, Pavel played a couple of games, but there was one other, which was Rami Shaban, who came in on loan. And Rami didn't play, but also Rami, I had road rage with Rami once, and I didn't even know who it was because his car had tinted windows until he pulled into the training ground. Like behind me, I thought he was following me. He was going to kill me. Turned out it was Rami. So I don't know who I should put in goal, but I can't put Rami because I don't think he played. But he didn't beat me up when we had road rage. I'm gonna go with Stephen Bywater.
Put Crazy Stephen in. I love Steve. He's such a sweet man.
Yeah, and if he wouldn't say, "Can I have a lift?" and sit in the car for 2.5 hours, and
he'd just walk.
And never talk to me after. He would, So I'm going with Steve.
He would just walk. Good old Stephen, bless him. Yeah. Right. Okay. What formation are you going with, David?
4-4. No, I'm not.
Yeah, 4-4.
I'm going with a back four.
Okay, back four. Okay, nice. Okay, so who's going to be your left back then?
Well, to get all the attacking talent in
I like it. Team, we're thinking outside the box.
We're thinking outside the box. And this player, I think, could have played this position. And lots of wingers stroke fullbacks can play this position and then still get up and down the pitch. In fact, if I think back at least 2 of my goals, Matty Everington played a 40, 50-yard pass to put me in. Him. So I'm going left back, Matty Everington. Because
I like it.
Matty gets in my team anyway. Somewhere, but to get the other players in, I got to sacrifice and push Matty back, not because he's so good. And he could run all day and he'd chase a crisp packet, but you do not want to share a room with him. He was my first roommate and he was my last roommate because he never went to sleep. and I'd need my beauty sleep, and the phone would go about 2 a.m. I'd be like, Matt, what are you doing? And there'd be, I don't know, something going on, or there'd be someone on a night out, or I mean, I don't know how he functioned, right? I don't know how he functioned, but I couldn't function. I had one game with him, and that was it. I was like, no, get me a new roomie. Sorry, Matt, he was a night owl, and but I wish I could have been like that, but
I'm not like that. Yeah.
Great
I
lad.
like it.
Yeah, not you wouldn't want to be his roommate. Well, maybe you would, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, depends what your outlook and life is, really, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But yeah, all right, Matty, I like that. Left back. Let's go right back then. Who's going to be right back?
Right back. It could have been Thomas, but I'm going to go with another really good lad, solid, dependable, excellent player. But to get who I want in midfield, I'm going to play Hayden Mullins at right back.
Oh, big fan of Hayden Mullins. One of those players which you don't know what you've got until it's gone with Hayden.
Yeah, he's got a great goal. Remember against Wigan, he could play multiple positions. You looked at John Stones the other day for Man City. Starts right back, ends up in midfield. Hayden could do the same for me.
Yeah, top man Hayden is. I think with Hayden Mullins, he's just, as I said, he's one of these people. I think he was really underappreciated as a player. A bit like probably someone going to put in midfield who sort of, when they're not there, you don't know why it's not working, and it's because Hayden's not playing or whatever. Or
and he's calm. He's not going to get sent off like Thomas. He'll be on the pitch.
But he did get sent off against Liverpool the game before the FA Cup final and missed the FA Cup final. So
that's true.
There we go. And he was because we were going to get him on for his, because he was Colchester United, weren't he, manager? Right, and then he got sacked. Literally, it happens so often. You get it all set up and then they get sacked. Anyway, put Hayden in. Let's go centre half. So we've got centre halves.
So I'm going to go with Christian Daly and Piercy.
Oh, great too.
So Christian, solid as a rock. Really great teammate. I'm sure everyone would say that.
Yeah.
Worked ever so hard on his game. Proper pro. Someone you want in the trenches alongside you. And I'm going with because I've got two ball playing fullbacks. I've got two solid centre halves there. Him and Piercy, Piercy, great lad. They're my two centre backs.
I always liked him. Ian Pearce is in my all-time 11 because it was only because when you played him in Championship, like fantasy football, he'd sometimes play up front. So, it's a bit like Chris Sutton would always do that as well. So it's always good.
Yeah. I've seen him around a lot on the circuit because I ended up working for a Championship club, and Ian was at different club, West Brom, and he'd been a few other places. So we'd often meet at games and stuff like that. So, but he was a brilliant player as well.
Yeah, love him. Okay, right, midfield. What we doing?
Midfield. So I've gone with two centre mids, bit of balance. One right footer and one lefty.
Nice.
So Michael Carrick as the sort of right, centre mid, but with the right foot. I mean, Michael, as we touched on, top talent, top player, lovely guy, and alongside him, someone who is not there just for banter, but was a really good player as well. Lovely left foot, provide a bit of balance with Matty Etherington. You could do a bit of everything. Is Kev Horlock?
Oh, Kev Horlock, yeah. Again, it's that period where there's lots of these types of players who came in and did really good jobs, and I think Kev was one of a similar person. Came in and did a great job.
I remember we played Norwich away. I was trying to think of a couple of little bits about each of them, but we played Norwich away, and the squad and the bench was named. So we travelled up to Norwich, stayed the night, whatever. Squad was named, and Kev wasn't on the bench.
Yeah.
So he was just in the stand, and he called a cab and just went on. And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going out. I'm going." And he got a taxi all the way home. And I got on really well with Kev, because if you wanted to laugh or pick me up, he was great for the dressing room. Fantastic sense of humour. Come on, Kev, tell us what's going on at home. He was a great lad, and he could play. He's a really, really good player as well. Obviously, Man City and everything. But yeah, I'm going for like a lot of lefties. Ironically, down the left. Yeah, a bit of balance.
Makes sense. That's to be honest. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate football and play inverted wingers and things like that. Actually,
Yeah.
play people with their dominant left.
Yeah.
It's like Bowen. They play Bowen the right. He's left-footed. He always cuts in. It really.
Well, I mean, it's a thankless task if you're a striker because if you play with inverted wingers, invariably you're not going to. I mean, we saw Rashford tonight. You know, off the left, he comes in, he gets his goal. You wouldn't necessarily want to be a central striker with inverted wingers who want to score goals because basically they're just going to go for goal. So great for them, not so great for you. Or if you've got a front two that need service. You know?
Agreed. Right. Okay. So we got two. There's two in the middle. Who's going to get out the wings or whatever?
So on the wings, I'm going for two, terrific players who did really well. Bobby Zamora on the left.
Nice.
And Bobby, I remember reading about Bobby a little while after when I left, I remember him saying he hated finishing from crosses, and I think Bobby could beat himself up a little bit or lose his confidence, like any striker. We all could, but Bobby had so much talent, and he was a terrific lad as well, very very well liked, and I thought he was an excellent player. To sort of get my two strikers in the team, I would easily sacrifice one of them for Bobby, but I don't need to because Bobby could play off the left, or if I needed to, switch him to the right, and he'd still be a goal threat, cutting in as we've discussed. But he gets in my team for sure.
Good old Bob, love Bob. Okay, he's on the left. Who's going to be on the other side then?
Marlon. So
Marlon, yes.
Marlon's on the right.
I mean,
Marlon in a way reminds me a little bit of Mikel Antonio. I'll tell you why. Because Mikel, when I was at Southampton, Mikel was coming through.
Of course,
and Mikel was always a winger. And hence, sometimes I'm surprised whenever I've gone to West Ham down the years that he would be sacrificed, Mikel, as a central striker, when I would think, I played with him for, however long at Southampton, and he was a wide man. There was no way he was a centre forward, right? He didn't have the game to be a centre forward. He absolutely developed the game to be the centre forward and done brilliantly for West Ham. But if he's maybe being bypassed as a striker now because of whoever's coming in, I would still get him in the team, and he knows the wing. And to me, Marlon is a bit similar. Marlon can play as a central striker, but he could also play wide. He could also score goals at the back post. I remember against Wolves, he scored at the back post, crossed to the back, headed back by Brian Dean, and Marlon volleyed in. I'd get goals in my team, and I'd get players on the pitch in positions that would do damage. Both really good ball carriers, and Marlon on the right.
Yeah, we used to where we used to watch the game. We used to do the announcing from. We used to call that Harewood corner because it was between that sort of it was at the right sort of in essence between the Bobby Moore and the West End, because he'd always get the ball into that corner and then do a little thing and then go along the byline, like literally every game. Marlon Harewood corner.
Obviously his attributes him and Bobby had, so quick and technical as well. You get them in the team and they can do damage, even if they swap sides or whatever.
Yeah, top man. Right, okay, let's go. Who's your first striker then?
First striker, I'm going to go with my big man up top. Like a big man. And I like this big man. I think he's very unassuming, lovely guy, but bloody good player as well. And that's Brian Dean.
Big Brian Dean, top man.
Yeah, big Brian. So, he won an awful lot, a great foil, big man, get it up to him. I'm not saying this Route 1, but, he also had a terrific touch. I played with a lot of big men, Niall Quinn, we touched on Neil Shipley earlier, Ricky Lambert, I played it, and they all had amazing first touch as well and could finish. I remember Brian, scored a lot of goals. He scored a great one against Wolves as well, I remember. Yep. I'd have, and I wouldn't leave him out because he played a lot of games that season.
He did. Yeah.
And and he was excellent in the dressing room, good personality, great character. So I'd have
good experience.
I'd have Brian.
Yeah, top man. He's a lovely guy as well.
Yeah.
Really, really sweet man. So, okay, the big man. So who's the little man then, if you're going for
the little man is Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah.
So, Jermaine was incredible, and there was all this stuff about we didn't pass to each other. I think there was something which was just rubbish. I mean, I I had a great appreciation of, because I knew how hard it was to be a pro. So
Yeah.
when I came up and played with all these great players, I had a great appreciation of them. And he could do stuff that I couldn't. He could finish from 30 yards. He could smash it in with left foot from outside the box, no problem, like he did so many times. With his right foot, he turned so sharp. He inspired me. I loved playing with him. I loved being in and around him in training. And then he would say, "Wow, Dave, left foot this," and I'd say, "Jay, like we would buzz off each other because
Yeah.
we were both like penalty box forwards, but obviously he had more to his. He could finish from different areas that I couldn't, and but I still held him in the highest regard as a striker. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah.
So he's playing. Yeah, he could be a 9, he could be a 10. If he, we'd work it out to get him in all them in the team. Yeah,
We'd work it out. There it is. There's your team. Nice. That team would win a UEFA Cup with ease. UEFA Cup. They don't call you.
Well, you never. You never. Yeah, don't. You never know. You never know. I mean,
never know.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
it's a bit of the players that I liked as well as those.
Yeah,
that,
I think that's the way to do it.
Sponge lifts and stuff, and not say thanks.
Sorry, J-Mo.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, funny story. When we had J-Mo on, this was a while ago. We had J-Mo on, and he'd done his 11. And the next day, he was doing some stuff with the club. And I think Colton was doing it. Colton Cole and Jack, who's a YouTuber, and they were talking about. He said, "I went on Rusty's show and." And he went for his 11, and someone went, "Didn't you play with Paolo Di Canio?" He went, "Oh, I forgot Paolo Di Canio." He'd gone for his whole 11, and he'd forgot to put Paolo in. But yeah, no, I like that. That to me epitomises that era at West Ham. That's a great, yeah.
It'd probably draw a load of games 0-0, like when you're
you shove it all out attack, and it's like, jeez.
Yeah.
But I mean, Matty nowadays, you think he was almost like nowadays he would be that. Fullbacks are auxiliary wingers now, isn't it? So someone like Matty in the modern day would probably be a wing back or definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Because... I thought of playing a back three, but then I thought, well, Matty can just, Hayden could just cover around as a 3 when we don't have the ball. Matty can just.
I love the thought. I love the thought's got into it, David. I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Right, we'll have one more question because I said it'll be an hour and it's 57 minutes, and I'm a man of my word. Right, and one question, and I did preempt you this question because they always do. Did you try pie, mash, and liquor? I told you someone always does the question.
Yeah, no, I did. I haven't done. Although I had mash tonight, but I didn't have the pie or the liquor. But I had the mash. So I've had kind of one or two, probably not
one of the
together.
3.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
Do you know what? I only had it for the first time about 6 months ago, and it's like, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, when I retired, like I took Millwall's under 18s, and obviously sometimes we'd stop off and by the ground, and there would always pie, mash, and liquor around as well. But I never really, kind of really sort of went for it then either. So no, but and just talking of that, because I know you've got Kenny Brown with the academy. So
love Kenny.
Kenny's class. So that's really because when I was at the game a few weeks ago, I bumped into him, and it's great to see the 18s doing well. And Kenny, because Kenny he came into Millwall as head of coaching, and it's great you've got like Kevin Keane is there as well, isn't he? So it's great you've got, and I see a lot of the former players pre-game doing the hospitality in the boxes, and loads of them, and I think that's great as a football club that that you still got the former players.
I think every youth sort of age group has a former player. So you've got Kenny, you've got Kevin at the 18s, you've got Steve Potts at the 23s, Mark Robson with the 23s, you've got Colton, you've got Zavon. I'm bound to, I mean, the women, you've got Paul Konchesky is head of the women with Jimmy Walker.
Yeah, that's right.
Kevin, and as I said, the ambassadors, it's great fun, As I said, Rufus and a few other, and quite there's about 10 of them, all from the 60s all the way up to probably Probably Marlon's probably the latest. No, Matt Jarvis
Yes,
is probably the
yeah,
latest one.
yeah.
But yes,
I
that
saw
sort of
Marlon there a
group.
few weeks ago. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's good.
That's
No, it's good fun. It's good fun. It's quite fun because obviously we go like we're in the press lounge beforehand, and when it's a really big game, so particularly like European games, you feel it from the players, from the ex-players, because they're more buzzy than they usually are.
Yeah,
If we were playing like, I don't know, a cup game against Macclesfield, they'll be like joking on. But when we're playing, a European game or Chelsea or Tottenham,
yeah,
in the same way that we feel as fans, we see the players feel like that as well. It's great,
exactly.
brilliant.
Great.
David, it's been an absolute pleasure. 1 hour and 45 seconds. I do apologise, but
Oh,
it's been great, man. I'm going to kick you out, so don't worry about that, mate. So you don't have to leave or anything. But thank you so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
cheers. Thanks, Russ.
Take
Cheers,
care,
everyone.
man.
Take care. Bye, bye.
Take care. All right, let's kick David out. Hope you enjoyed that. I wanted to star a particular comment by Dennis. Keep an eye on the channel. That's all I'm going to say. Keep an eye on the channel. And what a lovely man David was. Let's just go for that side again. Where is that side? There it is. Let's bring it up. Top man was David. Not bad side, I tell you what. Some really good ones are. Great. I mean, yeah. I think Piercy's in my one. Mullins. That's Red. I totally agree. That's what I said to him. I said he could bring his boots. Probably just couldn't get through all of them, but I thought David's voice was going to pass out, so I was trying to get things going. Thank you very, very much, guys. As I said, we try and bring you an ex-player every week, every couple of weeks we can. Obviously, next week we're going to have a few on there. There'll be a few because of the transfer window deadline, so make sure you watch our live stream for the transfer window deadline. Might be some surprises turn up. You never know who's going to turn up. We don't know who's going to turn up as well because it's everyone's like, I'm a bit busy, so it could be quite funny. Let's go through some comments, and then I'm going to go to bed. We'll have the dailies, we'll have the Hammers headlines, and then Friday we'll have late show with Irish Tommy. We'll have Your Say Friday. We'll have the press conference with John T from Football London as well. Also, I don't know if you paid attention to things, but we've announced a strategic partnership, cross-platform pollination, or whatever it's called, with the We Are West Ham podcast guys. Obviously, they've have a long-standing West Ham podcast, which is very, very well established. Obviously, we've got the YouTube channel, so we're cross-pollinating. So their latest episode is actually out now on Spotify and anywhere you can pick up your podcast. If you haven't listened to it, Will and James, top boys. Really nice, really good podcast. And as I said, we'll have them on our channel. They'll be on our channel. We'll be on their podcast as well. So keep an eye out for the We Are West Ham podcast, guys. As I said, we'll be promoting it. They'll be promoting us. So if you're watching both, then we'll listen to both. You'll hear from both. And obviously, they do clips from the podcast and stuff. They'll be appearing on the West Ham network as well. So you can try before you buy. So it's a bit we don't have to buy. It's free, same as us. But anyway, so keep an eye out for some stuff with those guys. Indeed, a few more questions, and then we're going to skedaddle. Right, we got. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll pass on thanks to David, top man. Really open, a really open interview with and it's sometimes you think, particularly someone who's had a season where we didn't do what we did and he left, but really insightful as well. Really insightful. Dennis, you're the one who's getting Kovac, not me, but we can get him on. Russ, can you get right? Okay, right. Boogers, Steve. Right, Boogers is the only man ever to have turned down DJ Russie B. Only man ever to have turned me down. Not sexually, but in terms of my Hammers 11. But yeah, so we keep trying with Boogers. It's his birthday the other day, actually. So we gave him happy birthday from the network. Benny McCarthy, he's just got a new job, I think Benny has. So we'll try. Can you get Kevin? I'm trying for Kevin. I'm trying for Kevin as well. No. There's no way we get. If you're talking about DiCanio, no, I don't think so at the moment. If you're talking about One Chop, more likely. If you're talking about Food Tray, very unlikely, doesn't speak very good English. Russ, can you please bring us some good news instead of any more injury news? Well, the good news is that Cornet could be back. Is apparently going to be back soon. We don't really necessarily know until the press conference, but that's the general consensus, isn't it? And with Ings isn't. I mean, they say a month, but it's not really a month, is it? Because they reckon Skamaka will be back for the Chelsea game, and they reckon Ings will be. No, is it? One will be back for the Newcastle game. I think Skamaka, and then something for the Tottenham game. If Nottingham Forest, what's the score? I don't know. But if Nottingham Forest win, get through to the final, that game will be cancelled or be postponed with West Ham. Although they are losing 3-0, so that's not going to happen. So we'll be playing Forest probably at the end of February. But that game was in risk of being cancelled. Quality shows. I always enjoyed. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed David's commentary. Yes, we've had Massey Effington on. Lovely man. Right back. I will put in the link. I put in the chat a link if I can find it. Where's my playlist link? Let me just give it 2 seconds. So if you go, we have a whole playlist of all of the various. My brain's gone to mush. All of the interviews we've done with ex-players, as well as interviews we've done with like celebrity fans and stuff. We've got a few of them coming on soon as well. If I just give me 2 secs, bear with, I'll put it up so you can see. It's actually on the website. It's actually on the web page, the homepage of the. Bear with. Oh, did we find it? And also, we hit 14,000 subscribers today, which was lovely, wasn't it? That was nice. It's very good. So, thank you very much for all 14,000 of you. Much appreciated. I'm doing really good at stalling until I find the thing. There we go. Right, edit, copy. I'll put it in the chat. There we go. All right, 5 red. There it is. Clever footballer, Connors. Not quick, but great brain. Very good brain. And if you listen to how he speaks about, and what always surprises me with some footballers is, say he joined us in 2003-4, I think it was. So that's almost 20 years ago, and he still knew. Oh yeah, I took the ball on the left and I did a little slide to the. It's some people. It's like TC's the same. He has this sort of encyclopedic mind of every goal he's scored. Good news is we are alive and healthy, and that's what we indeed, my friend, indeed. Todd Carthy, he is a hammer. So that was a whole period of them, wasn't it? It's like all that East End crew, Nick Berry, and all big West Ham fans, and I remember and David Essex, and they'd all used to go. Anyway, as I was saying, we'll be back with all the content tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are new around here, if you are a subscriber, actually you have to be a subscriber to comment. But if you could subscribe, if you're watching it now in the replay, be lovely. Or even if you are a subscriber, give it a little like and a little positive comment, or any comment really. We appreciate the negative and positive because we try and get opinions on both sides of the fence. Both sides of the fence. And we'll bring all the news and stuff for tomorrow as well. And then Friday we do the live Have Your Say Friday. So if you're around on Friday lunchtime, UK time, feel free to join us. We put the phone line up. We put the link up. You can come and join us and talk about whatever you want to talk about with West Ham. Obviously, we've got Derby on Monday. We'll be having... Actually, yeah, we should really think about doing that. The community tab, so you can pick your 11s. I'll put that up starting tomorrow, so you can pick. We'll go over back three. I think it'll be a back three. We'll put it up, and we'll put. You can pick, and you can pick who you want to go in defence and things like that, all that type of stuff. He certainly does, and also another guy, Kent, who does is Bobby Gould. Bobby Gould has books. He showed me literally books of every season and all the goals he scores. Absolutely crazy. Thanks so much, Rebly, as well. If you want to support the channel, hit the join button, become a channel member. We'll be doing our January draw. It seems a bit silly in the 25th, but we'll do the January draw on Friday with live on the show, so you can do that, and we'll have some. Let's have a look. Let me pick what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do what we got. Yeah, we're gonna do a. Let's have a look, because also some people haven't responded. We'll do what we got here. Tony Cottee. Tony Cottee signed West Ham notebook, 85, 86. Notebook for you to, write all your work on. We'll be giving that away on Friday, and also what we will be giving away is Oh, we might do two. We might do two. And we might do an Ian Bishop signed one as well. So we'll do TC and Ian Bishop. And we might even do another one. We might do this thing here. It's a can't reach. We'll do this one because now the person who won the who did the draw hasn't collected it, and it's been over 6 weeks. So we'll put it back out to tender, which is something that I got signed. I designed this myself. Signed by loads. We got Potsy, we got Ludo, we probably got Morley, Kenny Brown, Georgie Paris, Tim Breaker, Matty Holmes, literally all my era. We were very fortunate enough to go to the a night which was all dedicated to them. Mark Robson, we hopefully we're going to get Robbo on soon, and we're trying to get Potsy on as well. I'm trying my best because I think people would love to hear from him. Doesn't do very things very often, but I've got a few people on the case with Potsy, so that'd be nice. What we got here? Tony Reds, subscribe, become a channel member, and you get automatically entered in. It's a couple of quid a month, and it's almost like a raffle ticket. You get automatically entered into the draw. That's the join button down there. If you want to, if not, no worries at all. All right, guys. Well, I'm off. Time to get some bed. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay lucky, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. I'd like to thank all of our channel partners and people and friends and all that type of thing. Ta-ta for now, my friends. Bye-bye.